you for listening to my daddy's podcast.
Hey, don't let these tears fool you. It's all dog around this mug. I'm good.
What's going on, Who Dat Nation? It is yours truly, Timothy J. Jones. And yes, I am the host of the State of the Saints podcast. And thank you so much for checking out the State of the Saints podcast, where we talk New Orleans Saints. Really do appreciate your time. Thank you for making the State of the Saints podcast a part of your listening or your viewing pleasure. Really do appreciate that. On this edition, we're going to be talking about Saints OTAs. And we're going to be talking about some of the main stories coming out of OTAs this week. We're also going to be talking about head coach Dennis Allen and him not being concerned about what the naysayers are saying about the Saints or him. But let's go ahead and get into OTAs, man. Let's get into OTAs. The Saints are really in full gear here in OTAs. There's quite a bit of participation that has been going on. I mean, the biggest storylines of the guys that are not there is Marshawn Lattimore, the star cornerback, and also Alvin Kamara, the star running back. But that's not a concern in my opinion. I know some people like to nitpick and they say, oh, man, it's a big deal because it's a new offense and it's about leadership and you have to be a leader and blah, 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 man, whatever. Okay. I mean, maybe that work on your high school team, your college team, and y'all probably got about 5 wins out that joint. But I'm not concerned about that at all. These are two guys that are real professionals, and there's mandatory OTAs that's going to take place next week. I expect both guys to be there. And so does head coach Dennis Allen. And he spoke a little bit about that. And guys not being available at OTAs and what he expect going into next week.
I mean, I'm not going to go through everybody that's here or not here. I would say that there's some guys that are not here due to injury. There's some guys that are here that are not here due to some personal issues. There's some guys that are, not here due to their, own personal choice. We're going to focus on the guys that are here, get the guys that are here, get them better as much as we possibly can during this, important time in the development of our team. And then, look, next week we've got mandatory minicamp. My expectation is that everybody will be here for mandatory minicamp.
So there you have it. Dennis Allen, he's not concerned about Marshawn Lattimore or Alvin Kamara not showing up to OTA, so I don't think you should be either. I think that this team is going in the right direction from everything that I've heard. Saints reporters are out there on the ground giving us that wall-to-wall coverage. Shots out to them. They're letting us know about this new offense, and there's a lot of things to be excited about. I think the most exciting thing I'm looking forward to, or one of the most exciting things, is wide receiver Chris Olave. Now, Chris Olave, he came to the NFL out of Ohio State. That was probably one of my favorite draft shows I did because that was a draft that the Saints did what we wanted them to do as fans and as onlookers. They needed a star wide receiver at the time because, Mike Thomas was dealing with the injuries and you needed somebody to step in and possibly be that successor if Michael Thomas was no longer with the team. And that is the case here in 2024. And all eyes are on Chris Olave. I mean, there is no wondering or wishing here. He is the number one receiver for the New Orleans Saints, and he understands that. He understands that his role is bigger. He understands that he is going to be the guy that demands that double team. He is the guy that the defense is going to be looking at to try to neutralize at the wide receiver position. And he's approaching that. He did some really good things this offseason. He put on 7 pounds of muscle. He wants to bring his game to the next level. And once again, he understands that he is the number one receiver. But the question was asked to him, when did he realize that he was the main guy at the wide receiver position in New Orleans?
Probably last year, really. My rookie year, I wasn't really receiver one. Mike and Jarvis was here. Kind of had to play my role until they got hurt. But probably last year when that was the focal point. It still wasn't too much attention, but some games it was kind of like that. So probably last year, that's when I learned.
So, I like Chris Olave. Some guys are big rah-rah guys. They yell to the top of their lungs. They're in the room. But Chris Olave, he's a quiet guy. He's a quiet, subtle guy. He's not going to just come out here and just wow you and give you this big old hot take about what's going on with the team. He puts his head down. He has a lunch pail mentality, and I got to respect for that. Now, there was some things that I wanted to see Chris Olave work on coming out his rookie year. I felt like he kind of battled with the 50-50 ball. So it just seemed like when guys are kind of bullying him at the corner or the safety position, it seemed like, he kind of went into a little bit of a fetal position. The second season he played, you can start to see him win some of those 50-50 ball competitions there going up against the cornerbacks. He was winning, coming away with some of these circus acrobatic catches. This season, when the Saints are trying to change this offense, yards after the catch will have to be the key. And I like the fact that, once again, he mentioned that he put on 7 pounds of muscle because he has to get yards after the catch. I still think that when I look at Chris Olave, I look at a more polished Brandon Cooks. Brandon Cooks, coming out of Oregon State, he was the Belindakoff winner. He was the guy that caught everything. He had 100-plus catches coming out of Oregon State. He was fundamentally sound, but we all know that once he catches the ball, that's about it, right? He's going down or he's going to be taking a hit. He's not going to give you that yards after the catch. So that's what I kind of see in Chris Olave. It's the only exception is Chris Olave isn't as small as Brandon Cooks is. I think that, him adding on some muscle will help, and not to mention, getting a little bit of strength to be able to break away from some of those defenders to get some more yardage will not only help the Saints, but it also will help him to be in that conversation and being one of the top wide receivers in the league. You can tell the NFL is trying to push him to be that guy. You can tell that they're looking at him to be, in that conversation with the CeeDee Lambs, with the Justin Jeffersons, with the Jamar Chases, guys like that that's young, been in the league for less than 5 years, but they are supposed to be the next generation of wide receiver stars. And Chris Olave can indeed be that wide receiver. I'm looking forward to seeing that. Another thing that I'm looking forward to seeing is how this offense is going to work. Like I said, a lot of positive things that we're hearing, about the offense. Clint Kubiak has came in and injected a lethal dose of poison. My wrestling fans, y'all understand what I'm talking about. If you don't, just look up Vince McMahon NWO. You'll see it. But anyway, injecting a lethal dose of poison inside of that locker room, some poison that is needed. Right, this energy, something that the Saints have been missing for quite some time. Now, we all know when the Saints constructed the West Coast offense that they had with Drew Brees and Sean Payton being a head coach, it gave us a lot of great moments. It gave us a lot of great moments as fans, a lot of great moments as writers, a lot of great moments as onlookers. I mean, it was poetry in motion. You have an appreciation for what you see and what you saw. But just like anything, right? I mean, it becomes passé, right? I mean, all things come to an end. You think about like some of the best shows that you watched growing up as a kid. Me, Family Matters was that show. Boy Meets World was that show. But there's only so much Topanga and Corey Matthews can do, right? It's only so much Steve Urkel and Laura Winslow can do. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's only so much. And all things must come to an end, no matter how great they were. And I think it was just time for the Saints to move on. And they decided to go with something that has shown to work. And that is the wide zone offense that has been ran by Kyle Shanahan out in San Francisco, Sean McVay out with the Rams. these are some teams that have found themselves in the Super Bowl. And we know, whether you are the biggest Dennis Allen fan or not, whether you're the biggest Saints fan at this particular point or not believing in the team, we know that Dennis Allen can coach some defense. And if Clint Kubiak can become something like the head coach of the offense, you can find yourself winning more games than you're supposed to. Now, I'm not going to go far and say, oh, they can go to the Super Bowl. I can't. Look. I ain't that bold, right? I think they can win some games. I think that maybe they can win some games that we don't expect for them to win if they combine Clint Kubiak's philosophy with Dennis Allen's philosophy. But I will say this, okay? I will say this. Dennis Allen needs to get a little bit more aggressive. I understand what is at hand this season. His job is on the line. Make no mistake about it. They may not come out and say it. They may not say, Dennis, if you don't win this year, you're fired. But he feels that pressure. I mean, you feel the pressure from the fan base, the Who Dat Nation, everybody wanting your head on the silver platter. Everybody want to throw you up out of town along with your quarterback, Derek Carr. You feel it. I know I feel it, and I ain't even a coach. So I understand that. But at the same time, what has being conservative gotten you? What has it gotten you? It has gotten you looked at sideways by fans, and you have onlookers not believing in you being a head coach. So to me, I feel like the Saints need to be a little bit more aggressive, because at this point, what do you have to lose? Nobody expects for you to do anything. Everybody's expecting you to win 6-7 games tops. Nobody expects for you to even be in a conversation for winning the division. So I just say go out there and play free. I mean, it's like playing with house money at this particular point. And maybe if you start playing a little bit free, the players will start feeling that, and they will start feeling free, and you will start to see wins just start to accumulate. When I go back and I watch Saints tape, right? I watched a lot of the games the last couple of days. I ain't gonna lie to y'all, man. You know, your boy been kind of a little bit under the weather, man. Been dealing with this whole diabetes thing, man. It has not been pretty. I had to do some life changes. I'll get to that at the end of the show. But I got an opportunity to, just kind of look at some of this Saints film and watch all these games. And it just seemed like to me, like everybody seemed to be uptight. It seemed like everybody just has a sense of urgency. Rather, the Saints were like in a game like with the Giants where they had a command of the game. It still felt like things were uptight. And then you go back to look at some of the older games where when Drew Brees was the quarterback and how much fun they have. I think the one I saw was when Drew Brees, he was like 29 or 30 or something like that in a game against the Colts. And everybody was just like they were just having fun. And the crowd was in it. The team was in it. And you can just feel the energy in the room. And you can feel that everybody was just playing loose. And I feel like that's what the Saints need to go back to. I don't think that it's just about the X's and O's. It's about guys having fun again. And once again, I understand that Dennis Allen's job is on the line this season. People are going to want heads to roll if this guy doesn't make it to the postseason. But once again, what has being conservative gotten you this far? Like, what has it gotten you? Nothing, right? No playoff appearances and a fan base that don't believe that you can do it. So I hope that maybe the Saints have a more of an aggressive approach in 2024. I think that would actually pay dividends for them. Another thing is the defensive side of the football. There's some questions that need to be answered here. What the pass rush going to look like? I mean, Carl Granderson got paid last season. We expect for him to take that extra step. You got Cam Jordan, who is dealing with injuries. At this stage, I'm not really expecting Cam Jordan to be that double-digit sack, 15, 16 sack guy. I expect for him to be more of a mentor and just kind of get in where he fit in and do what he can. Guys like Chase Young I'll be looking at, and also a guy, Isaiah Foskey. Isaiah Foskey, he was a second-round pick coming out of Notre Dame. He was a forced fumble machine coming out of Notre Dame. He had, a lot of great qualities, a lot of really, positive energy. But there have been some questions about his motor. Does his motor run cold? Can it warm up? a lot of overthinking things, right? Making the right decisions, trying to be in the right place at the right time. And Isaiah Foskey understands that. And he talked to the media a little bit about some of the things that he dealt with in his rookie season.
Coming into the NFL, I feel like I didn't get a good grasp of it going into like a rookie year, and then I don't know. I feel like from there it's just like a downfall towards at the end of it. I just need to trust that I can do what I can do, just not really get outside of what I can't do or what I can do. Like really just trust in what I can do, pass rush move. I know I'm strong enough. I know I'm fast enough. I know I'm quick enough, and just trust it.
I'm a fan of what he said, and I'm not a fan of what he said. And allow me to elaborate. I'm a fan of the fact that he understands what he needs to do in order for him to get better. But it concerns me that I'm hearing what can be looked at as excuses. Like, when you see guys that maybe didn't have the best year, let's say they're a young guy, came in with some fanfare, some promise, supposed to solidify a position. Maybe they didn't have the best year, but they'll say, I had some issues, but I worked on it, and man, we just going to try to get this thing going. And, I know what I need to do, and I'm going to go out here and do it. It just seemed like it was just a lot of excuses. I couldn't do this. I couldn't do that. But I understand, I understand, and I appreciate the transparency. But now that you know what you need to do, you need to go out there and execute. There's no secrets anymore. You know the speed of the game. You know what's expected of you, and you know what you need to bring to the table. Isaiah Foskey is a second-round pick, right? He came into the league last year in the second round, and a lot of people expected for him to do more than what he did. And he is one of those guys like Peyton Turner you forgot was on the team, and that is not a good thing, especially when you were picked so high. So I'm not going to give up on Isaiah Foskey. I'm not, right? I mean, I get it. Some guys, they come into the league, they come in strong, and the reason we have issues when guys on our team don't come in as strong as those guys is because those guys came in so strong. But in the process, we have to understand that a lot of what we see from like the C.J. Strouds and the Aaron Donalds and the Ndamukong Suhs, those were anomalies. Those were guys that came in and they just got it right away. And you get that from time to time. But everybody's not going to be like that. But I will be looking very, very closely at Isaiah Foskey because Isaiah Foskey has got an opportunity to really make some noise. And if Isaiah Foskey can go out there and execute and get that motor running, the Saints can have a really good situation because it will make the Chase Young situation going into the offseason, it will make it more of, a choice than a have to. Because if Isaiah Foskey will be on a rookie deal at that time and he's giving you the production that you need, would you want to go out here and pay Chase Young, max dollars in order for him to continue to play for your team? If he does dominate, then by all means, pay the man. But at the same time, you want your young players that you draft to work out. And hopefully in year 2, Isaiah Foskey starts to make some noise where people realize who the hell he is. There are other guys on the line. I mentioned Peyton Turner. Peyton Turner, once again, kind of similar to Dennis Allen. Just go out there and play free. Like, you ain't got nothing to lose at this point. Anything that you do would be a plus because what you have done is few and far in between. And I also kind of feel bad for Peyton Turner. I feel bad for Peyton Turner because every time he gets hurt, he did something good before he got hurt. like the play that he missed a substantial amount of time last season, he made a tackle for loss. It's amazing like how this guy is always in the right place at the wrong time. It's just amazing. But he has an opportunity to go out there and change the narrative. Man, honestly, and I mean this, and I'm not trying to be disrespectful. I honestly forget sometimes that Peyton Turner is on the football team. And you can say whatever you want about Marcus Davenport. He was injury prone, this, that, and the third. But at least you knew Marcus Davenport was out there from time to time. A lot of the issues that we had was he was out there and he wasn't productive. Peyton Turner is productive, but he just can't stay healthy. And you do not want to have that tag on you for the rest of your career. Because now, you're going into a season where, money is on the line. You want to make sure that you do your best. And if the Saints don't pay you, at least somebody else might want to take a flyer on you. There are other storylines that are going to come up. Of course, I mentioned next week is mandatory OTAs, right? It was your choice the last couple of weeks if you wanted to show up or not. That was your choice. But next week is mandatory. And I expect for everybody to be out there, just like Dennis Allen said. I expect for individuals to show up. I think that guys just feel like they have their exercise regimen. They got their strength and conditioning coaches. They're using the best money to get the best people around them in order for them to be ready for the 2024 season. And I can't wait to see what this team is going to look like. The offense is starting to gel a little bit. You're starting to hear some positive things. Heard Spencer Rattler kind of bounce back from his first week where he was kind of going through the motions. He completed some passes, made some throws. Derek Carr is looking like he's comfortable. The running game is starting to pick up. You're seeing a little bit of a connection with Derek Carr and the receiver. So hopefully this can actually translate to the regular season and the Saints can get some wins out of it. And the quicker they can actually learn and get acclimated to this offense, the better. I think the plus is it's not as long and drawn out when it comes to the play calls. A lot of the play calls that the Saints had with this West Coast offense was kind of long and maybe some had the guy's head on a little bit of a whirlwind here. But now you have an offense that's kind of a little bit more simplistic when it comes to the play calling. You can get in and out of the huddle more faster. And I think guys can play a little bit more free and more loose and be more sure about what they're doing. Will that happen? I hope so. And we'll soon find out as the months go on leading up to the regular season. But thank you all so much for checking out the State of the Saints podcast. Once again, my name is Timothy J. Jones. I really do appreciate it. I did mention I didn't do a few shows the last couple of days. Anybody knows, or you may not know, I'm a type 1 diabetic. Got diagnosed in 2018. I was hospitalized for about a week. Man, I was in some really, really bad shape at that time, man. Like it was real, real serious at that time. And, it's been kind of up and down for me. And I go through these little stages of anxiety and depression from time to time, man. It just kind of comes with the territory. Yeah, I'm a human being at the end of the day. I'm a father, I'm a husband. And, just been dealing with, going to the doctor, and dealing with, my blood sugars and stuff like that. So had to do a little bit of some life changes. Been going to the gym more frequently now and kind of cutting back on some of the things that I should have been eating in the first place. Just trying to get myself together mentally as well as physically. Thank you all so much for those that reached out. Thank you all for your patience. I really do appreciate it, man. Much love to you. I'm going to try to be here as long as I possibly can for each and every one of you, of course. Definitely, for my family and for my friends and everybody else. But as long as I'm upright, as long as I'm doing great, I'm going to be giving you the State of the Saints podcast. All right. You can check out the State of the Saints podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Anchor FM. You can also follow me on X at TJAY Jones 8, and you can follow me on TikTok as well at TJ the Host. That's TJAY the Host. Till next time, all I gotta say is, who dat?